Moana 2 is finally here. Let's talk about it. This movie has gotten a lot of caution from people because basically, unless you're a casual moviegoer, you wouldn't know this. But essentially, this movie was announced very late into production. We found out about this movie literally fucking last year, I think, like late last year, like November shit maybe, that this movie was coming out. Basically, Disney took this Moana TV show they were working on, retooled it to be a movie, and a lot of people weren't sure how that was going to work out. I mean, they barely got The Rock and Aliki Cavallo to come back and do this movie, and Lin-Manuel Miranda wasn't going to do the music, so I wasn't really sure what to think of this movie going into it, what I was going to feel. I didn't hate it, but I also didn't really love it either. This is a very meh movie that has a lot of problems. I think when you watch this movie in the theater and you get to the end of this movie, you will have had a great time and you will have felt fun. You know, there's songs in it. It's a very entertaining movie. I was never bored. I think it went on a little too long. First movie's an hour and a half. This one's an hour 40. Could have been a few minutes shorter. But for the most part, when you watch this movie, you will feel that. You will feel joy. You will feel happy. But then you will leave the theater and it will sit with you. And the more you think about this movie, the more the movie would just fall apart for you. Because you'll go, man, I really enjoyed that. That was a fun movie. And then you go, what songs did I remember from that movie? Oh, none of them. None of them. I literally don't remember any of them other than the opening song. And that's just because the opening song has been in a lot of the adverts for this movie. So, when she's like, on Island, whatever that song is at the opening. I forget what it's called. But, that song, I remember that one. Every other song was either honestly just straight up bad because of how generic it was, or just generic. So yeah, so this movie, I've heard people compare it to a direct-to-video Disney sequel. I think, yeah, pretty much this movie is one of those with more polish. Like, the story's good, the animation is good. It's just some of the plot beats and how we get to certain things seem a little bit clunky. Like, for instance, at the beginning of this movie, there's this new guy. He's a Maui fanboy. He does, like, fan art of him and Maui together. And the interactions between him and Maui are very brief and feel very weird. Like, you're not really seeing this. Like, he sees him as like, oh! And then that's it. There's not really that fanboying payoff, which you would expect, right? Because that's what they set up, but it didn't happen that way. I think certain things like that just made you go, wait, what? How Maui's even in the movie, and his role in the movie was very minimal, and he just kind of popped in randomly. I don't know. This movie was kind of a mess where it had all these little plot points and things. And then the other reason it feels like direct-to-video stuff is like, it's kind of like the songs. Some of those Disney direct-to-video movies don't necessarily have bad music, but they're just generic, so you forget about them. That's the way this movie feels. They introduce a bunch of new side characters that you don't really care about, and that feel like they are just kind of there. And that's the way I feel about the old man, the other girl she's hanging out with, like with the axe tool and the fanboy dude. Like, I didn't care about their characters. Why wasn't it, would have been nice if it was just Moana and maybe another new addition or something that she's going on a journey with. I don't know. But it just felt like, okay. Like, I'm not sure why we needed these new characters here. Because we had Moana and Maui going on a journey together in the first one, and that worked out just fine, but whatever. I did like seeing the Kakamoras again and what they actually did with them. I don't want to spoil what they did with them, but I thought that was really cool. Because initially when I saw them in the trailer, I was like, again? we've already dealt with these characters. Like, I don't really care to see them again. That's just lazy. I don't know. Now we'll get into the worst part of this movie. The worst part of this movie is Maui. First of all, Maui, like I said, his plot line is very awkward in this movie. He's essentially captured through part of this movie, then gets put free, and then he... It's just... I don't know how to explain what went wrong without spoilers, so I'm not really going to do it, but he just did not... His plot line was very awkward. And his dialogue was really bad. There was some really terrible jokes. Like, there was one, I forget, he said... Maybe it was a butt dial, and now makes sense in 2,000 years. Really? Jokes like that? It felt like that joke about tweeting he made in the first movie, except there were more jokes like that. And it felt very cringy. I don't know. I think if your kids love Moana, you're going to end up seeing this movie in theaters. But if you're an adult who, like, you don't love Moana, this isn't really going to change your mind. I don't know. I feel like if you love Moana, I guess you gotta go see this in the theater. Just don't expect it to be as good as the first movie. Just expect to have an enjoyable time, and maybe try not to pay for the highest quality format. Because at the end of the day, this movie, I feel like, in a way, doesn't deserve your money. But I feel like it's gonna make money anyway, so why try to fight it, right? And what I mean by doesn't deserve your money is that Disney took this TV show, retooled it to be this very generic, bland movie that was not very good. And you know, if they know that their properties are going to make money, they can make good sequels. And also, they have good Disney sequel TV shows out there. The Tangled sequel series, very well written, very well done show. And this wasn't even half of that show's level to me. So I'm just like, okay. So that's Moana 2 for you guys. Fortunately, it was not a very good movie.